What do you think about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford?
Oh my God, defining fight for both of them.
They're both great fighters.
Yes, for both of them. And I'm a fan of each of them. I've been a fan of Terence Crawford longer, but Errol Spence Jr.'s last fight against Ugas.
That was hell.
What?
He looked good in that fight.
He sure did. And oh my God, what about Derek James, the trainer?
What happened to him?
He helped him win that fight.
What'd he do?
He snapped him out of it.
He did get dropped too, right? The guy dropped him. I didn't see all that. I used to highlight.
He dropped him because...
I'm the most ruthless and meanest that there's ever been. There's nobody that can match me. I want to talk about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. They both fought so important, but Mike Tyson admits that he only watched the highlights of Errol Spence versus YORDENIS Ugas. What does this mean? Well, I'll give you my thoughts in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you come in, smash the like button, also subscribe. Now, everybody wants to see Crawford versus Errol Spence. The clip I played at the beginning is Mike Tyson, Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson podcast, special guest, Rosie Perez. Foods that start with the letter Q. What is a quiche? Quesadilla. So, Rosie Perez was the live in-studio guest, and Mike Tyson brought up the conversation. What did you think of Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford proposed fight? And if you don't believe me, you can rewind it. He made a statement and it was just completely silent. He says, Errol got dropped in that fight, which that's not true. He didn't get dropped in the fight. Now, some will say that the ropes held him up, so technically it's a knockdown, but basically, as it happened, that's not how it played out. The ref didn't count it as a knockdown, so it is what it is. Similar to Terence Crawford and Mean Machine when Bud got dropped with a counter shot, and Bud's knee buckled and kind of hit the canvas. The ref didn't call it that, so it is what it is. But in addition to saying Errol Spence was dropped, which is not what happened, he says that I only seen the highlights, and he watched the highlights of it. That's what I want to talk about in this video, because listen, there's this conversation about, I've seen fighters, boxers, and when somebody's on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, and they are talking about boxing, you sometimes see certain boxers come out and say, oh, you don't box, you're not a boxer, why should I trust you, your opinion don't matter, yada, yada, yada. However, the flip side to the coin, I can't speak for everybody, but the flip side of the coin is this: there are certain individuals like myself, I'm not a pro boxer, but I guarantee you could put me against any pro boxer when it comes to talking this boxing, and more often than not, I'll be right. Like with the assessments, the analytical breakdowns, that's what I do. That's what I've done at a very high level for several years. So there's this ongoing feud or conversation about like, oh, you don't box, so you're not qualified to say anything. However, you also have someone like Mike Tyson who did box, but there's a lot of fighters who box and they don't really watch boxing. And I know it sounds crazy, but I know several boxers that are like this. Like, maybe if you're in or around the same division, they might be checking. Or if it's a big marquee fight, they may be in the know. But you'll be surprised how many boxers don't really watch boxing unless it's a bigger event or it's like a stablemate who is fighting and you're going there to support the person, etc. There's a few guys probably out there, like I think Terence Crawford is one where he really just watches boxing. Like you could see for smaller fights, bigger fights, like Lomachenko versus Corolla, Crawford will go and show up to a fight like that, even though it's not that big, right? But there's a lot of, you'll be surprised how many boxers don't actually indulge. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because at the end of the day, if you're boxing your whole life, since the time you're a kid to an adult, it's a job. So when you're away from your job, you want to be away from your job completely. And unless it's a big event like must see, Mayweather, Pacquiao or something, you have a lot of fighters, they're not really watching boxing. The other issue is like you'll notice, and this has happened to me too, in the media scrums, there'll be a piece of media or like boxing news, if you will, piece of boxing news that'll come out, and then me or another member of the media will be interviewing a fighter, and we're telling the fighter the latest and greatest, or the news, the breaking news, like, oh, so-and-so just signed to fight so-and-so. And they'll be like, they did? Because again, there's a lot of boxers who, outside of boxing themselves, they're not really, spending all the time watching and indulging in the sport. So they don't know a lot of the boxing news, or they get it late and things like that. They have personal lives, etc. So now with the Ugas fight, you see Ugas's face. Errol Spence had him looking like Monsters, Inc. And, you got Mike Tyson, and it's not just him, but I've seen a lot of people weigh in on the Crawford fight. But if you're going to weigh in the Crawford fight, I told you guys, Ego Stradamus strikes again. The Crawford Errol Spence fight, people are weighing in and giving predictions. Like Mike Tyson really said previously that he favors Crawford to beat Errol Spence because of the mutual opponent, which was Sean Porter, and how Crawford stopped Sean Porter as opposed to Errol Spence. And if you guys listen to my video, I said that's not a good measuring stick or barometer, because Errol Spence fought him in 2019 and Crawford fought him when he was off a 400-day layoff and off the Sebastian Formella, who wasn't really a known name at the time, right? Performance. So he had one fight in between that, and he later reveals that he knew he was retiring, etc., etc. So, what makes that commentary, especially when you see and heard at the beginning of the video, Mike Tyson admits that he didn't even watch the Ugas fight in its entirety. So, I mean, this was what I predicted. There's a lot of boxers that don't really keep up with boxing as much as you would think, I guess you could say. And I told you when Mike Tyson said, oh, I'm picking Crawford because he beat Porter, that's one of the most casual standpoints that you could come up with, because it's a triangle theory. So that's what it's seeming like to me. It's like, it seems like some of the people weighing in, because they're the experts, some of them don't seem versed, because they're saying like almost generic things about Crawford and Errol Spence. Like they're like, oh, Crawford's gonna do this and this. And I'm like, do you watch Crawford fights? Because from what I've seen, Crawford likes to bang and he likes to bring the fight to him. And he's like, anything you could do, I could do better type of demeanor. And he has that type of attitude. But people are saying that Crawford, he's gonna be this, Pernell Whitaker, fleet-footed guy who's moving about. And so far, that's not really what we've seen from Terence Crawford. So I had to make this follow-up video, because Mike Tyson is one of the people that weighed in and favored Crawford, and then he used a triangle theory to validate that. And it's kind of surprising that Errol Spence seems to get this level of almost disregard as a 3-belt champion. And people are saying like he got dropped and he didn't. And I've even heard people say that he struggled with Ugas, but then Mike Tyson said, oh, that was a great fight. But then he said he didn't watch the whole fight. So it's just highly confusing. But either way, drop your thoughts in the comment section. I'm the best in the business, and I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working. Yo, but I don't even really know about that.